Welcome to DAWI, a channel where we discuss architecture, fashion, design, music, and the arts. I'm Chinenye Chukwuka, and like I said, welcome to DAWI. Just imagine an Africa from your perspective, our perspective. An Africa designed for us, by us.
DAWI.
Yes, Chinenye, how are you doing?
I'm good, Mongezi. How are you doing?
I'm right, thanks. I'm right.
How you been? Like, tell me where you're calling from. Well, I'm calling you from Table View.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so where are you now and how are you doing in this time?
I'm calling from KZN.
Yeah, KZN.
Yes, a
And
small
you
town.
said the small town.
Yeah, called Ikopo.
Oh, okay.
Not a lot of people know it.
I don't.
It's a very small. Well, that's home. That's where I grew up. I'm currently based in Durban. I was in Cape Town for the past 10 years.
Whoa.
So, yeah, I left Cape Town and I had to pursue other things back here at home. Yes.
Okay, I understand.
Business.
And we know you as an architect currently, who was currently before you were in CPUT and now you moved to KZN. So what led you into that career path? You know, just give us a little background of why architecture and construction.
All right. I'll just correct you there. There's a bit of a difference. I'm a senior architectural technologist.
Oh, okay.
And I'm proud of that. I don't have a master's in architecture. I have a BTech in architecture.
Okay.
Also did a BTech in construction project management. I did civil engineering before that.
Really?
I taught, yes.
Okay, that's quite cool.
I taught in CPUT for 4 years, from 2016 till 2019. That was after I had experience in the architecture industry, after having studied my BTech in architecture at CPUT.
Okay.
So since I did my internship, I had been doing private work. Did my first house in 2012 when I was doing my internship.
Yeah.
And I just started growing from there, and I just started believing in myself that I could actually do it on my own. I mean, if I can draw and I can pass plans, I can.
And detail. Why not?
Just me on the slides, everything. So I then I just had the courage to actually do it on my own. I did a couple of houses here back home, and it just started growing from there. And people start seeing what you've done, and they like it, and they just refer you to the next person, and you just keep on growing from there.
That's really cool.
So now, So then, after close to 10 years of being in Cape Town, actually left beginning of this year, before the coronavirus started.
Just before, like you made it through that gap.
It's just quite weird actually, because now, there's a whole lot of issues I'm facing. All my furniture is still back in Cape Town, and I've moved in a new apartment, so I can't really fetch it because now I'm restricted to actually be able to move into province and all that stuff. So besides that, I currently am a construction project manager for rural developments in KZN. I work with an implementing agent, and I run the construction projects throughout from initial stage to completion. And on the side, I run my own company, Isomi Design Built Studio, which concentrates mainly on designing houses. I also do small commercials. I do also minor construction. So I'm quite occupied. I do a couple of things on the side too, a bit of arts, photography there and there, just to keep myself busy.
just to keep yourself busy. Aren't you busy enough?
Not really. I mean, you have to rejuvenate the creative juices now and then, you know.
I hear that. I respect that a lot.
So yeah, I mean, just like everybody has a hobby, I also have my own. But I make sure my hobbies are lucrative. I always make money out of them. You know, yeah.
Okay.
I try.
Never out of just the joy for it. So what are your hobbies? So you said you do a bit of art. Did I hear that correctly?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I used to do some exhibitions in Cape Town while I was there. First Thursdays, I'd host exhibitions in certain spaces and stuff like that. I'd also do my own art pieces, but I collaborate with other upcoming artists and matured artists in the industry, and we all create some sort of merge and stuff. But that's something on the side I used to do while I was in Cape Town. I also used to shoot for events now and then, which is the photography aspects of my hobby. So yeah, I was quite occupied myself.
That's very cool. And do you have any so you you did a BTech in architecture and you did construction. You did construction studies before that.
I did civil
engineering.
After my architecture, I did construction project management.
Okay, so now you have like 3 different like education parts that you've done mixed together, and now you have a career out of it, and you still do arts and creative things on the side. That's quite cool. It's very cool.
Sure.
I know recently we had a conversation. So I just finished my first section architecture at UCT. So I just finished now, and I'm in my gap year before I go back. And I remember we had a conversation with a very well-known architect in Cape Town, Heinrich Wolf. And he said that a lot of people view architecture as an industry, but it's not, in his opinion, that it's more of a profession. It's a respectable profession.
True.
So, and I know that varies with different types of architects and different people in the industry, because it is a very high-paced, high-loss kind of, you have to be on top of everything, especially where you work. So how would you say your approach or philosophy to it is?
Very interesting question, actually. Part of me exploring different professions, me having to go into construction project management was part of the reason why I actually decided on doing something a little bit different from what everybody else is doing, because I feel architecture is very one-sided. It's all about design, and people think it's all about the beautifying of the buildings and all of that stuff, but it's actually more than that. There's a whole lot of things that you get to understand when you get to the actual industry. It's very exciting when you're a student and you tell other students, I'm an architecture student, nobody takes it seriously.
Yeah.
And they think you are the shit or stuff like that. Actually, when you get to the actual workplace, the work environment, you get to realize that this is actually very serious. It's not just about designing, and it's sad because when you get to work for somebody else, architects don't usually trust other people to design for them. So the bosses actually want to design, and you do the technical work.
True.
And there's a whole lot of documentation, there's a whole lot of technicalities in the background that people are not aware of, especially the students or the young ones that are still getting into the industry, when they're very excited about wanting to design, wanting to do
Frank Gehry building,
road
rides,
Reality is you have to do the shadows, you have to do all the technical stuff that you weren't expecting. And sadly, even sometimes at school, in architecture school, they don't prepare you for these things. You actually get there and you're not very much prepared. You don't really expect what you get, because you thought you're just going to be designing and doing fancy technical details, but it's actually, there's more to it. There's other professions you have to work with, your engineers, your environmental people, your town planners, which is what I appreciate now, having been in the construction industry as a project manager. I get to work with these people. I run the project. So I communicate with them with all the knowledge that I have as an architect and a construction project manager. I I actually share with these people, and they share with me too. We combine that information and we make something one out of it. And then boom, comes a project and comes to reality. It's not just about the fancy drawing, but it's actually more to it than just the design.
That's really cool. So you have that dichotomy of being able to understand an architect, understand the construction side. That probably makes you a fire force in the industry as well, though, because then you know what you're doing, and it's a thing of someone can't try and pull a fast one on you because you know what they're talking about.
You know, besides me thinking I know better, it's no, I don't know better than everybody else, but I feel that it's important for people in the industry, the architecture industry, to understand that it's way more than just drawing a plan. There's so many things that you have to consider, and that's why it becomes difficult now to deal with clients. For instance, I deal with private clients. I don't do a lot of government work, but I deal with people that want to build houses, for instance, or maybe private clients that want to do small commercial spaces. And now I have to make the person understand that there's different consultants involved. There's going to be a surveyor that's going to survey the land. You have to pay for the person. There's a structural engineer. There's a town planner. There's an EIA person. There's traffic people that have to get involved in if you're dealing with
so they're not just paying you, they're paying a whole group and village of people.
There's all of these people, and they just assume that
what do you mean?
Part of the money they're going to give you has to go to those people, and it just becomes so difficult. And then that's when architects starts coming across as arrogant when they reject projects, because clients are just not on that mindset of that architecture is actually more than what they think. They just think, no, it's just a piece of paper that this person's going to draw overnight, and then that's it.
I think we all go through that phase of thinking you can draw a plan overnight, but then you have to draw that plan and you realize, no, it takes a lot of time to go into that.
True.
And leading back into the question I asked you and what you said, you have worked in both industries, so even though they are interlocking. How did you find it entering the workforce coming out from school? Because I know a lot of people now, apart from what's happening now with coronavirus, a lot of companies are adjusting how their employees and how they finance things. But going to the industry, it's very hard to get a job most times. So a lot of kids, a lot of students. So what did you do to kind of get in there? And how did you go about it?
Sure. I did my internship 2012 in Stellenbosch. This was when I was doing my second year in architecture. I was the last one in my class to get internship. I just couldn't find work. Believe it or not, I was one of the best performing students in class, though. My work was quite good. I just never had an opportunity to even get an interview. It's very deep, this architecture thing, when it comes to the racial aspects of it, of which I won't get too much into that. But again, I would just say, just know that whatever work you're doing at school, you're doing it for yourself and for your future. Your boss will see your portfolio and they will judge you according to that. But again, image counts again. For you to get the opportunity to actually even get that interview, the surname has to be a certain surname, sadly. It's all about you. What I decided to do, I started literally printing my CVs and walking door to door, dropping them there, politely excusing myself for interrupting, and just dropping a CV for a chance of vacancy, you know. And you wouldn't know. And this boss really liked me. He actually liked me when I walked in. And he was like, no, I'll give you an interview the following day. Then the following day, I did go for the interview, and he told me, when am I ready? He actually asked me, when can I be ready to start? And I told him I can start even the following day, and then the following day I started. That's just my first interview, you know? so it's really all about your work. And it was very impressive what he saw, and he was shocked that I had not gotten a job until that time. So it was like April. I was supposed to get a job in December.
Yeah.
So it's very deep when it comes to who gets the opportunities and who doesn't.
It puts a lot to think about. That's very true. Yeah, and then you said it was in Stellenbosch, but you were in your second year of architecture in CPUT. How did you do that?
I just started Googling a whole lot of companies in Cape Town, and I just
but the driving to Stellenbosch and getting, because that's a very big distance.
I know. I took train. I didn't have a car then, and I went to drop my CV, and well, I was so fortunately a lecturer of mine really admired my work, and he had referred me to one of the guys in the company who was a director, and I still have communication with that guy even today. He really enjoyed having me as a student. This is like close to 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And I even still get job offers from these people. They're like, "Hey, Mongezi, are you available? Do you want to come through?"
That's
Sometimes
nice. You kept the bridge.
Sure, definitely. That's very important also. A lot of people burn bridges, but they don't understand the importance of actually keeping good communication with your ex-employers or even people in general. Yeah. So, I was very fortunate to actually finally get a chance to express myself and show them what I'm capable of.
That's very nice. That's inspiring. So a question I wrote down is, with COVID-19 being a dominating topic today, and especially its impact and how it's affected the profession, do you think it's affected you in any way, or do you know anyone it's affected directly in the profession and industry at large?
To be honest, with the architecture side of things, it hasn't really affected me much. We are lucky because we are more of a, what can I call it? We can work remotely. We remote nomads basically. You can travel and you can still work on your laptop. So even last night I slept late working on my project, I mean, it's really nice working in a space where you have the luxury to spend time with family and do what you love or do your work at the same time. So I've really used that to my advantage, and again to just rejuvenate my creativity. I've been drawing, doing some art pieces. When I do get the time, I read a lot. There's a whole lot of things that I keep on doing just to keep myself energized and ready to move when the world is open again. And you must understand that we humans are not the most important thing in the world. That's what I always say, and people laugh. You know, I feel like the planet is kind of detoxing at this stage. And we should just allow that to be, and there's completely nothing wrong with that. So just with the construction side of things though, I must say there's been a bit of a backlash because I run projects all over KZN, and some houses were not completed before COVID-19 started, the lockdown actually started. So now I get calls, people saying that people are moving in the houses yet they're not complete. And now Human Settlements has to approve those houses when you get back from COVID-19. So now if they demolish, you understand. So there's a whole lot of things happening on that aspect of business, but I mean, it's not something very bad and to complain about. I'm just appreciating what I can do now, and I'm making the most of it.
There are pictures, I think I was watching the news recently, and even when we all started this, different parts of the world where like the natural wildlife just returning back into the roads and the streets, and
in the normal time, we always feel like, oh, we're the only ones that live here because we settled here. We have this, we have that. And then when you see a goat walking through the road, it's like, where'd that come from? The whole time it was hiding away from us. So a problem now in Cape Town, a lot of things, I did write this interview a while back, so it is more dated, but it still relates to us now. Homelessness is a big problem. And I remember I actually did my final project on homelessness. And Cape Town, seeing how this COVID-19 thing kind of forced the government and leaders to do something, actively try to do something for the people that are very vulnerable in society. What do you think, what forward-thinking way do you think architects can be more involved in that? Because I know a lot of problems architects face is we try and fix the world. We don't actually have the resources apart from design to do those things. So we don't finance our project. So at the end of the day, you might want to do this and do that, but if you don't have the finances for it, unfortunately, you can't do that. But what active way do you think architects can try and incorporate homeless people and disadvantaged people in society in that sense?
Yeah, it's a very interesting one actually, and it's very deep. I personally feel that architects would love to get involved in helping the poor. Same here. I have plans that I've drafted since I was a student regarding how I can actually help my community. How can I help the poor? How can I build better schools for the poor areas and all of that stuff? And I've been doing a bit of research, and I have came to realize that funders, which are the most crucial in this aspect, because I mean you need money to do these things, and sadly this is not an investment. Nobody's going to get returns out of it, so it's just a matter of donations. And the government may have money for such things, but again, we live in a I mean, it's a very tricky world. Everybody wants a piece for themselves, and I find that government doesn't really prioritize on the poor, sadly, especially when it comes to, I wouldn't say when it comes to housing. Let's say the homeless, they do prioritize on the poor, yes, excuse me on that, but the homeless are not on the highest of levels of priority when it comes to being accommodated.
That's true.
And again, we can come up with all sorts of creative ways on how we can accommodate the homeless. But then, if you don't have the money to do it, it's very tricky. We did a school project once where we had to kind of design incremental houses for people in Gugulethu. This is a very successful project that I did with my team. They actually chose our project as a go-ahead. It was supposed to be built while I was studying. But again, they just struggled to get funding. Even today, when I called this guy called, what his name again? But he was very much involved in the project, and he initiated the whole idea. But they're still trying to get that funding. This is like over 6 years now. So I mean, there's a whole lot of things people are trying to do, but if there isn't enough money to do it, then sadly it's not going to happen. But I believe there are organizations out there that are trying to get funding for people to actually do such things. But I mean, they just not out there enough for us to be able to see them and take advantage of them.
That's true. At least a lot to think about, and it's definitely something I see myself. I think we all at some point see ourselves going into there when we're still a little bit naive. Yeah. So I'm still naive enough to believe I can try my luck there and help.
I wouldn't say it's being naive. It's very considerate of you, and it's possible if you get the right connections. That's what I can say. I just haven't been fortunate enough. I'm actually working on a program. I've been working on this program. I want to build libraries in rural areas Eastern Cape, KZN, Mpumalanga, wherever there is a need for libraries. I mean, we are on internet right now and we communicating virtually, but there's kids that don't even have the books to read. They're not informed. I taught in university, entry level, ECP particularly, and I see the kids that get in there, they come from disadvantaged backgrounds. They're very illiterate, and I can't point fingers and blame it on anybody, but I feel there's a need for
the resources.
For the resources, basically. Yeah,
that's true. I remember we did in 2018. One of my lecturers, Clint Abrams from UCT. So he did. He grew up in a I wouldn't say township, but an area called Makasa, a little bit outside Cape Town. And he decided that he wanted to create a kind of exhibition space in the town for people to essentially see themselves within their community. And so he did crates. We helped him out as students. We needed a job. It was holiday time, so we just got involved. But essentially, we used crates, those crates to use for moving large objects in shops and in transit. He used crates and he turned them into canvases, and asking the children in that area to take photos. So they got into photography through that, take photos of people in their community, and they printed those photos and put them up in different hotspot areas of the town. And when we had this opening, you could see how everyone's face would lit up, because it was a thing of, we go to the library and, oh, there's Auntie from down the street. Oh, there's me with my friend down the street. And you see how kids and people who are never really given the chance to see themselves in a positive way finally get to see that, and they're like, oh, okay. And even these boys that we got involved with, they were from the ages of 11 to 16. They were so excited. They were so excited about how, oh, like I could actually think creatively and do this if I go this way. And it makes it quite exciting. Wait, give me a second. Okay. Yeah. And so it's something to keep pondering on. If you give resources to children or people that need it, they're able to turn it into something quite positive.
Very true.
Any round of questions or any round of things you want to say to architecture students or people going down your path? Any advice?
Advice, jeez. Okay, just my piece of advice would be, architecture is about problem solving. The more complex the problem, the more need to simplify it. So it's very important to take it in that type of understanding that when somebody comes to you as a client, they come with a problem and you giving them a solution.
Okay.
And you find good sustainable ways, whether socially, environmentally, or in all sorts of aspects, as to solve that person's problem in a satisfactory manner and providing them accommodation at the same time. And again, do enjoy design. Architecture is an art and a science at the same time that provides accommodation for people. And there's nothing wrong at all with taking chances out there. I did my first job when I was in my internship. I actually did a job while I was in high school. I was asked to draw a plan because I could draw. So I just started going from there. My teacher told me actually that, I can actually become an architect with the type of skills that I have. And from there, I just started going, and I wanted to become what I am today. And it's all about society at the end of the day. It's not about you. You must understand, be empathetic to the client's situation, put yourself in a person's shoes, and try and create a whole new world for them that will be satisfactory. And imagine yourself actually living in that space is the best way to actually understand how the client will actually feel at the end of the day when they see the end product. So yeah, that's just my take on it.
Thank you for the advice. It was great. I'm wishing you luck in everything else that you get involved in. And I hope this lockdown is kind to you as well, because it's weighing down a lot of people. So I hope your creative juices still keep flowing.
Sure. Thank you so much, Chinenye.
Yes.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's been great.
Okay, it's nice meeting you.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.